Hey guys, just so you know, we wanted to give a little trigger warning. We're about to be talking about SA and domestic violence. If this is something that's a trigger for you or that's going to make you feel uncomfortable or put you in a dark place, please fast forward to the next segment. We just wanted to give you a little warning. Look into that. So something that I thought was interesting that we could talk about today. I don't know if you guys have heard or saw anything about the Minnesota Supreme Court's decision.
Tell me more.
I'm sorry?
I said, tell me more. No, tell me more.
Oh, this is just kind of one thing, but I kind of want them to go together because we're going to speak a little bit on abortion. But this law in particular that the Supreme Court in Minnesota went for was a person who is sexually assaulted while intoxicated isn't considered mentally incapacitated, because if you choose to take the drugs or if you choose to drink the alcohol, then essentially anything that happens from you from that point is on you, because you chose to become intoxicated or you chose to do a drug.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay, so listen, if there's one thing that I'm motherfucking passionate about, and this is something, you know, if maybe we want to talk about another day, because that's a whole story in itself, but anybody who's a close friend of mine or who has known me throughout my years knows that in 2016, I was sexually assaulted. Yeah. So I get very, very, very passionate when it comes to things like this, because it's like, okay, I was blackout drunk when I was sexually assaulted. The only reason that I remember is I had little flashbacks of me, you know, getting my head. We won't go into that today, but I'll have little flashbacks, and it's like sometimes you get blackout drunk and you don't. I know for a fact that this person was trying to sleep with me when I was sober, and I wanted no parts of that.
Yeah.
So I get really frustrated when I see things like this, because it's like things happen. Sometimes we go out and we have a couple of drinks and we don't intend on getting that drunk.
Yeah.
You can have 2 or 3 shots, or what if somebody slips something into your drink? They put a roofie in your drink, and then it's like, or it's overpoured. There's a lot of
so many gray areas. Yeah.
Exactly. So I get really frustrated because I don't feel like in this situation that, yes, maybe that person, but that's not the point. Maybe that person shouldn't have drank so much, but that's not the point.
That's not the
You're
point.
supposed to be protecting. You're more focused on shaming women and or men for using drugs and alcohol than the person who sees a person who's too fucked up.
Yeah.
To say, no, this isn't okay. I don't want this. This isn't what I would typically go for. So why are you so focused on shaming the person who's literally a victim, who is a survivor of that trauma, versus getting onto these people like, what the fuck? You see this person is too fucked up to really give you a genuine answer, but some people are so mentally incapacitated that they think it's okay.
Well, the Minnesota Supreme Court has to be 70% white men. Because you get a law like that completely puts the onus and blame on the victim of, because like that's like a Bernie made it like a Ponzi scheme. You don't blame the people had millions of dollars or their life savings stolen from them. You don't blame them. No, they send that other person to federal prison.
This is what's concerning to me about this, though, is I feel like it's these states that are like this, kind of like how Oklahoma, if you're drunk and you give somebody oral sex, it's not considered rape. That's a whole other law. We could talk about that. Yeah, they approved that a couple of years ago. But what's crazy to me is with all this going on, if you believe that way, so let's say somebody does get blackout drunk, like myself, and was assaulted.
Yeah.
So if the person who assaulted me had impregnated me, these are the same type of states that try to say, no, you can't have an abortion and you can't go to another state to get it done.
Yeah, it'll be illegal. Yeah, Oklahoma's doing hard on the, not that we're not talking about them, but they're really doing hard on the abortion law in Oklahoma. I've been seeing that on the news lately, like finding the physician, yeah.
Exactly. And I'm about to get Emily's opinion on this as well. There's just another thing that I wanted to say before we kind of go into that, and we can kind of go a little bit more deeper into it. But another just little fun fact is that just this year alone, in 2021, there's been over, so sorry, I had to burp. I'm drinking beer. You know, it's Sunday fun day for Bree. But there's been over 500 abortion restrictions in this year that have been introduced to 44 different states, while in 2019 there was only around 300 proposals. Yeah, no, it's, yeah, sorry, I probably, but while it was around 300 in 2019.
Just a heavy push on it.
So why do you guys think that why such a heavy push now?
It hasn't been a heavy push, I want to say, now versus other times, but to start off with the Minnesota law, that's more of the protection of men. So they can go back and say, she told me yes.
Oh.
So she can't come back and say, no, I was too drunk. I could, like, even though I said yes, it doesn't matter. I was too intoxicated. That's more of what
it's easy to push that blame onto somebody else versus taking responsibility. And some people don't think that they're wrong for that.
But that's the misconception of it. And it's the fact that you could say, when you look at someone drunk and incapacitated, you don't let them drive a vehicle, you don't let them do certain actions because you know they're not in the right mindset. So how are you going to say this person it's okay to fuck, to have sex or make a commitment like that or give that type of consent? They can do other normal things.
Like, if you're not going to give me my keys to my car, don't fucking sleep with me.
Especially with a stranger. Like, you can see if, like, people in a relationship, stuff like that, when they have different
stuff. Different. Like, if I get drunk, if I sleep with my man, I don't feel
that's
bad.
What I say,
that's my man.
Yeah, but that's different type of consensual. You're probably talking about it before. Like, there's different things of that nature. But if it's like a date the first time or out with friends or even complete stranger
or somebody
that shouldn't be okay because you have insight. What Brock
Turner. Fuck Brock Turner.
Brock Turner.
Down Dustin. He kept like, oh, she said yes, and then that would have been fine. I mean, he still
he
got
stopped
with the wrist. Yeah,
he got
nothing. But that's the thing. It's all in protection of men because they think of rape. They think of rape of being a very disgusting act and very real, very like assaulting and like I'm gonna beat her up. I'm choking her. Things of that nature. Versus it's not just to that, I guess, extreme of physical harm. There's other types of rapes and how it is a rape, and it really boils down to consent. And I think when we talk about consent, I think that bothers some people because they realize some of the actions they may have taken may have been a sexual assault, or they may have crossed that line with other people, and they don't want to admit that. They don't want to be looked like a rapist because a rapist sounds like the most awful thing,
scum of the earth,
in the world. So they don't want to be considered that. So they kind of fall into these laws and push these laws because it protects more of the men.
It protects them, and I think it's easier for them as well just to be like, well, she was wearing this, or, you know, she's a self-professed hoe, like
she's a stripper.
It's all these excuses, not only to protect them, but it makes it easier for them to kind of take the blame. Well, to take the blame off of themselves.
That is protection.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It makes it that much easier.
You're dehumanizing them.
It makes them feel better about themselves.
You're making them an object, not looking at them as the person. Like, every person is human and different and has feelings. Like, labeling them as the stripper, the hoe, the easy girl, the drunk girl, that's removing that person's like story.
Exactly. I think, and just focusing on the self person, like I got the consent versus what happened with the other person. What's their mindset? What would they do?
Are they even in the frame of mind too?
Yeah. And then when you go into abortion, it kind of goes into more control to have standards of where you can't do certain things, or the states that have stricter laws against like Planned Parenthood. You make it harder for women to find contraceptive. You make it harder for women to get treatment if they run into an STD or STI. You make it harder for them to get regular checks to make sure their uterus is fine or ovaries are good. And you make it that much harder. All these laws, like, you are Christian based, and it, to me, is more of a distraction to focus, hey, Republicans have certain things they're very strong on, but like gun control or abortion, that wasn't a really big thing, I believe, until like the 70s or 80s is when the big
propaganda.
Yeah, like push to go anti-abortion and it's murder and all of this nature, versus they don't want to see the whole story and they look at it as like, oh, I'm Christian, I support life. Versus no, people who get an abortion get it if it's medically necessary, or if they get it extremely early before anything is truly developed. So they have to get it at a certain stage, or it's life threatening for the mother. There's so many other variations. And they talk about adoption or foster care, but it's overran by kids right now.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's an option, because when you ask them to adopt, that's not an option.
That's not an option.
either.
There's something before we kind of go into that, because I do want to go a little further into that. There's a point that I had wanted to make up about Planned Parenthood as well, that I feel like a lot of conservative or, you know, very Republican people don't realize, is that a lot of them see Planned Parenthood as an abortion house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is where people go to kill babies, but they don't realize that these are also people that are offering treatment and helping people with cancer.
Yeah.
Or helping women who who decided not to go through with an abortion, to help them figure out different plans, whether you need to be on WIC, what kind of assistance you need. It's multiple. If you even just need to go to get a regular checkup, just your yearly as a woman checkup, these are services to provide for women, not just for you to go in and take an abortion pill and then it's over with. And I think that's something that's a very big misconception.
Misguided anger to one focused point to ruin all this accessibility that we have.
Well, back to what we said, it was from the Reagan to like the George Bush era that was just some type of propaganda where we didn't like the community. And if you need help from your community, you're looked down upon, you looked as trash, it's looked anything. Like if you need to go to your community to do something, if you can't go to your Walmart and buy it, you can't buy it on Amazon, people think you're trash and poor, because you know what I mean? If you don't want to, if you want to go to a community picnic barbecue, oh, it's because you're poor. Or